Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Goodbye, a new podcast from Harper's BAZAAR where we invite celebrities, designers, models, and tastemakers to talk shop, what they buy, where they got it, and why it matters. Hi, Goodbye listeners. It's Lynette Nylander, the Executive Digital Director of Harper's BAZAAR.
And it's Leah Chernikoff, the Executive Editor at Harper's BAZAAR. And this is Harper's BAZAAR's The Goodbye. Since we last recorded The Goodbye,
Yes,
it was Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Very big shopping days for a very big shopper. Did you buy anything?
you're going to be bitterly disappointed, but I didn't take advantage of all the discounts and everything that's going on. I think that, Black Friday is an amazing time to snag a deal, but I find that if I'm buying in that kind of high, it's like a sample sale.
I know.
You're just buying things because it's a great deal and whatever. But I did actually choose to purchase something that's a little bit more forever, and that is the Manolo Blahnik Mary Jane. I've coveted these shoes forever. If anyone's ever seen that episode of Sex and the City where she goes, a Manolo Blahnik Mary Jane, I thought that was an urban shoe myth. Like, everyone has always wanted that shoe. It's beautiful. It's comfortable. I'm trying to get back into my heels era because I believe in my quest for wanting to bring back glamour that I should be wearing a heel. I kind of have gotten into sort of a block or a platform, and it's very comfortable and I love, but they're not the most elegant of shoes. And my style icon, Rihanna, always wears a heel. And so I must channel the same. What about
excited
you?
for you. I'm excited for your glamour era and
Thank
your
you.
heels era. I'm sorry for your feet.
Well, our guest this episode, which we're going to get to, is the perfect teacher of my return to glamour.
To your point, the sample sale effect of Black Friday, it's very real. But I kept it simple because I really, as you know, I like my basics and I really like a good white tee. And when you find your white tee, then you want to commit to it. You want a bunch of them. So I really like the Lisette tees, and they were having a sale, and they don't have a sale very often. And for some reason, I'm, can't get past in my head that a good white t-shirt is expensive.
Yeah, it is.
And I understand if it's something you wear all the time, why shouldn't you invest in it? It makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, let's clarify. I think you can get any white t-shirt, but I think that perfect crop and the neckline and the sleeve and the cotton being the right kind of gauge and not being too sheer and that is where that's where the designer white tee has come into prominence. Yeah.
And it does make a difference.
Yeah.
If you're just gonna wear jeans and a white t-shirt, but you want to kind of look like you've got it together, that is where that thing about the neckline and the gauge of the cotton really does matter. So anyway, I like the ones from Lisette. I like their pointelle and I like their plain white cotton tees, the Margot, and they were having a sale. So I bought some t-shirts.
She bought some t-shirts. And
yeah, really risky, daring fashion moves over here.
I mean, a t-shirt is a staple. And I think that is a perfect segue into an intro for our guest this episode, who is a big believer in classics. It's about wearing something that's signature and wearing it well. I'm super excited to have on the podcast Dara, stylist, model, and fashion director of Interview Magazine. She is the mastermind behind the knockout red carpet looks of Hunter Schafer, Addison Rae's recent fashion ascendance, and she has an inimitable approach to getting ready and dressing up and spreading joy and that commitment to that old school glamour wherever she goes.
Please welcome to The Goodbye, Dara.
Dara!
I'm clapping for you
live
guys.
studio audience.
Yeah, the live studio audience.
Dara, we've had some looks on The Goodbye. In our short run so far, we've had, a Miley Cyrus,
That coat was
Ferragamo
major.
look.
Oh my God,
We've
wow.
had Tracy's Bottega look.
Love.
This is a look. So you need to tell the listeners at home what you're wearing right now.
I'm wearing a dress. This is a vintage McQueen dress with a beautiful shoulder pad. I love a strong shoulder. My, go-to every day, sunglasses, red lip, and button earring, and then a funny little hat, silly little hat. It's kind of like if a fedora was on steroids, tipped over on the Titanic, and then you stick a feather in it via Peter Pan.
Guys, this is so indicative of who Dara is and the person that I admire. My admiration for you is not even a secret. I run up to you during Fashion Week and I'm obsessed because there's such a commitment to Glamour at all times. This is not something you threw on for the podcast or you throw on for Fashion Week. This is a 24/7, 365-day commitment to Glamour. So talk us through that.
There's range. It's not at 100% every day. Let's just like be real. But you know, I just love and appreciate it. I love the effort of Glamour. I think for me, Glamour is like my greatest coping mechanism. Like I think it's sort of like how I approach and process what goes on in the world. And I think about fashion as like, you know, a verb. It's like to fashion. You fashion yourself. You fashion things out of other things, and you kind of like take whatever is around you and put it on yourself and use that fabric to create a story around whatever you're feeling. And so that's how I approach getting dressed, and that's how I approach my work. And it's all the same to me. And I think it all deserves the same level of effort and level of commitment. Like it doesn't matter if it's a page of a magazine or on a celebrity on a red carpet or on myself or on TikTok or on Instagram, like all of it's the same. You know what I mean?
Can you tell us where it came from? I know that you were into Disney movies and you watched them with your mom, but how did you go from a kid to
well, I spent a lot of my childhood like drawing. Like I was always drawing, inside drawing. Like I sort of hated when we had to go outside for recess. Like I wish I drew more now, but like I think I've like moved it onto like a sort of like this is where I put it, you know. And I look at it very similarly. Like it's sort of like a flat 2D thing that is a shape and needs to like look a certain way. I always say like silhouette's the most important thing to me. It's like the shape of it.
The line of it.
The line of it is really important to me, yeah.
How often do you shop? Are you a big shopper? I mean, I would assume so, but...
I'm actually not.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I've become more of a shopper. For a long time, you know, the money had to go to rent and food, and so it was not giving shopping. And that's why I think where a lot of the like kind of like DIY approach of what I do comes from is like making things out of other things. And that's kind of like something I never like want to give up, even if I can afford something else now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for a long time, I think because I didn't really know myself as much as I feel I know myself now, it was very hard for me to buy anything. So I was kind of like I'm like a bit of a hoarder. So if anyone's ever giving anything away, I will absorb it.
Wow.
And so like anything a friend has given me, anything I took from my mom or my dad, I will hold on to it and repurpose it into something else. And that's always how I like would get dressed. And now I shop a little more, but I love like a vintage flea market. I'm not a big online shopper. I need to touch and feel things.
Yeah.
But I always say it's like if you have the right approach and a sort of rigorous eye, you can find something good anywhere. It doesn't matter like if it's like the Canal Street shop or Bergdorf.
Yeah.
Like it's like anywhere, you know.
Well, I remember admiring you. I moved to New York in 2017, and I think you moved in 2016.
Yeah.
So I remember you in this movement of really exciting people in New York who were scrappy and making things happen, whether they wanted to be a photographer like Ethan James Green and Cruz Valdez. You were a part of a movement who didn't have as much in terms of resource, or they were getting there, but had all the ideas in the world. And it feels like that is still a part of your style philosophy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I was like, when I moved here, that's so like the kind of like community that I found warmth in. And it also sort of was like born on the internet. Like it was sort of like before I even moved to New York, I was connecting with those people, and there was kind of like a language and a way of using clothes and making clothes and making pictures. And it was really scrappy, but I don't know. I have always since I was like very little kind of been attracted to glamour and love beauty. I kind of came at it in a different direction in a sort of way.
You're a complete firework, because when you think about downtown style, like you've become, you know, a moniker, like a downtown icon, but you dress in
like an Upper East Side woman.
Yeah. I mean, a subversive uptown, but an uptown nonetheless. And I think that is like, that's that incredible tension that makes your style so compelling.
Right.
I love tension. I'm like I was born a weirdo, but feel very normal or something. Like it's sort of like, I just feel like there's always two sides. I always operate in both, and I don't really like when anything leans to one way or the other. Like I don't want to be fully like buttoned up and uptight, and I don't really like when everything's rough and like too rough. You know, like I think the fact that it kind of like straddles the line that kind of like that
That's what
I don't
makes
fit
it-
in either place kind of is great to me.
Always
Like I
kind
love
of looking
that.
at things from that outsider perspective.
Yeah,
kind
either
of.
you're either direction. I'm
Yes.
an outsider to the outsiders, and I'm outsider to the
to the
insider.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and that's cool. Like I'm into it.
Who is on your mood board? Who are your
I was gonna
style
say,
people?
because you said you always loved glamour. So who are those glamour icons?
Oh my God. I mean, I love anyone with like sort of a commitment to their own like eccentricity and their eccentric style. I mean, like when I like was 18, I read Deanna Vreeland's memoir, and that kind of like changed my whole like perspective on everything. And she's like a big influence, and like sort of everyone that kind of emanates out from that world. And, and
Legendary
everything.
editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar.
Yes, yes,
ding.
yes. I love like the Warhol superstars, Edie
Yeah.
Sedgwick and Kenny Darling and Jane Forth, and I love like the Halstonettes, and like Pat Cleveland was like a really big, when I first moved to New York, that kind of her version of glamour was really like important to me. Kind of like the big curly hair and the like exuberance and the dancing everywhere and the twirling I loved. And then Tina Chow I loved a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think she does this thing that's sort of androgynous, and Grace Jones does that thing too. And I love towing the line between masculinity and femininity. I don't like shy away from that at all. And I really appreciate that in fashion. And I think like growing up on like Madonna and Britney, and like kind of how pop performers like contain themselves in a certain like, you know, a certain way, and then they leave it and they discard it and then move on to something else, is always kind of how I've approached getting dressed. And I think that's where that comes from.
Because she's taking the sunglasses off.
We feel so honored.
On the Goodbye, we love to not just talk about style and all things fashion. We need to get into the weeds. We love to know what you have bought, want to buy,
Oh my goodness.
all of that. So, first question is, what was your first buy? The buy that you like coveted and you really wanted, or felt like you had made it and you were the only one?
Oh my God. First. Okay, the first type of designer purchase that I kind of really remember was, this is like, I guess it would have been like 2012-ish, 2013. And it was like this little Jill Sander Raf Simons like pouch, a leather, like, I guess it was a wallet, but it was worn on a lanyard. And in the show, it's like all these kind of pouches that were kind of harnessed onto the models. And it was like a black patent leather with like a blue string. And it has a clear window, so you can kind of like put an ID in. It was very like sort of, I don't know, Fifth Element or something.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with Raf Simons, like obsessed. To me, they really changed how I saw clothes and saw fashion, that you could go that spare and still say that much and be that simple and be that effective was like kind of, I don't know, it really shifted my viewpoint on the world.
I think it's interesting. We're in this era of quiet luxury and all of that stuff, and like minimal. Like to me, that's the perfect. Raffet Jill is like the perfect level of minimalism. Like that's the minimalism that I think is really interesting and boundary pushing, because it's almost harder to say something with it being refined like that and being using restraint.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, what's that quote? Like, elegance is restraint. I live for that. Yeah. But like,
But
I
it
completely
feels
agree.
like harder to do that, right? To do something so simple and restrained like that, and have it be
it's like,
so directional and impactful.
Yeah, it's minimal, but it's not nothing. You know, it's to me, amazing fashion and good design is sort of thinking about it at its core and bare bones, and then you can decorate if you need to, and it's not necessary to get a point across. You know, and if it's not good at its core, like the silhouette and the material and the shape and the way it drapes and blah blah blah, then like you have nothing. Actually, all that decoration's doing nothing, because it's just covering something that doesn't have an idea around it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I love those kinds of clothes. And so that was kind of my first thing I bought.
Was there also a purchase, I don't know, maybe even after the interview job or after Walking the Mark show, that you made that also kind of made you feel like, I'm here, I'm doing this thing?
I bought them sort of concurrently. So I was like going on a bit of a spree, I guess. And this is sort of like right after, kind of things started shifting, and I sort of started feeling a little more settled, and it's so me, so funny. Like I bought two pairs of heels. I bought like one, like a white pair from Bottega, and then like a red patent leather pair from Manolo Blahnik.
And why were they
And
the ones?
I just was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, shoes are kind of the thing that I want to buy all the time, and that's my weakness. That's my weak point. Is like if I'll just buy a million shoes, and I really wanted a pair of white shoes, white heels, because I was kind of on a Sharon Stone and Basic Instinct kick, and so that was kind of like the futuristic white heel that was really like mean and nasty that I could find. And then the red shoes were just, I mean, I really wanted the like these are an Urban Shoemith shoe. Like I went into Manila looking for the black Campari.
Mary Jane. The shoe is just stunning still after all of these years.
And I wanted the black ones, but they didn't have them, so I got the red ones.
Perfect. Who's your go-to if you were recommending a shoe like a perfect heel? What brand would you go to?
I'm a Manolo girl.
A Manolo.
Absolutely.
And let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because
I am committed to a Manolo.
A Manolo is.
Yeah.
We know and trust. In Manolo we trust.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I love. I wear them every day. They're like my sneakers. Like I can run around the world. I mean, I push it. I wear like a crazy high shoe any day, all day. Like on set, all day long. Like I'll do the high heel shoe. And I think that comes from like a sort of like that I wasn't allowed to have heels as like a teenager and like kind of growing up. Like, my parents were like, "Girl, are you serious?" Like, so I now I'm kind of like, well, I have to make up for lost time. I have to wear these heels.
What's the inch count you max out at? I cannot wear
I don't know.
over
These
3.
are pretty tall. The tallest ones I really wear.
Show the camera what this.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I have like a round toe Manolo one. They're beat up because I really wear them. I'm not joking.
Well, we love.
Hello.
Is that 4?
That looks like
5?
a 4 or 5,
That's a 4.
maybe. That's a 4.
Yeah, I don't think that's a 4.
I don't. Yeah, I don't need it to go fetish. You know what I mean? I like a demure shoe.
A demure, a mindful shoe.
Yeah, not to give such a buzzword, but
Yeah.
like I do like I like the elegance of a sort of like a more simple shoe. I like a flat single sole. I'm not a big platform. For a long time, I was like not even an open toe, but I've like kind of now I'm feeling it a little more again.
I like a closed toe. I like it to
I like
be
a closed toe. I cannot do a square toe.
No, that's just oppressive.
That's not me.
I can't do a
I
closed
love
toe.
a round toe, and then no one makes a round toe. No one makes a heel that sits under your heel anymore, and it's really upsetting.
You're well placed to talk about style because you do it for celebrities, which we'll get to in a minute. You do it for print and that kind of storytelling.
Yeah, creating an image for the page.
Yeah, and you're a muse and a vessel for other people's storytelling and style through being your work as a model. But let's talk specifically about interview and your approach to style with interview, because you guys do it all. You guys are like,
We're
the
messing
style.
it up a
Yeah, the
little.
style it's eclectic and it's subversive and it's cool.
And you can tell you're having fun.
Thank you.
And
We do have a lot of fun.
That's like the most kind of addictive thing.
Yeah. It's a cuckoo, crazy, chaotic like world, and it's fun, and we get to kind of, because we're more of like a pop culture magazine than a true fashion magazine. I think we get to kind of like, use our fashion perspective, but like put it on some of the most amazing, most interesting people, most creative people in the world. And then you get a lot of eyes on it because of that. And I think that kind of like in dynamic creates for a lot of like fire. And so I don't know. I think it's a lot of fun.
What is something that you regret buying?
I'm curious about this question too, because I've been wondering, like, are you going to have one?
I can't really think of a particular item, but there are definitely things I've regretted purchasing. And most of the time, it's not even necessarily like one specific thing, but it's always something I bought to prove to some other people that I was a certain way or am a certain way. It's like if I bought something because I really wanted to look hyper feminine and pretty to people, or if I bought something to like, it's mostly that, really. Like, because I'm just like, that's so not like in line with like how I approach and see clothes. Like, to me, it's like these are extensions of a creative impulse, and if I'm buying it so that someone else thinks I'm valid or something, then it's not.
It goes against the very principle of what you
and I
do
look
it
back
for.
at those pictures of myself and I'm like, why the hell am I wearing that?
Guys and listeners, if you weren't aware, Dara styled Hunter Schafer for her press tour for the Hunger Games. And some of these looks are just, I think they're some of the best celebrity looks that we have seen in decades. And you have Addison Rae now. Talk about how you even go and approach crafting somebody else's style. And I know
Right.
it's very interesting you're obsessed
Yeah.
with pop divas and
I love-
like
yeah.
Britney, and because I see
I know.
a
I
lot
want
of
to
that
talk
in
about the
Addison.
Britney and Addison.
I was like trying to articulate kind of like how I dress or how I approach clothes to like my friend, and I was like, it's sort of like avant-garde next door. Like, you know, and I think that's where the Britney comes in. It's like it's something that's, I love the bizarre, I love the challenging, I love the like extreme, but I never wanted to kind of like be something that no one can understand. I love that it can kind of like, even my mom could like love it, even though it's a little weird to her. You know, like I like that it balances those two things. And that's kind of how I approach myself, but it's how I approach that tour with Hunter. And I think because it was sort of like, I had never done red carpet before. I kind of didn't want to do it. I was very scared of it and nervous about it. And but I love her. She's like my sis. I love her. She's one of my best friends. And like we met really early on when we both were just starting out modeling in like 2017. And so when she asked, I just was like, yeah, let's see. Let's try. Why not? This could be fun. Let's like see. We'll do a tour and we'll see. And when we were doing it, it kind of was like, she's super artistic and super creative and loves fashion and was going to be a fashion designer before she started acting. And so she gets it, really understands it, and also wants to push it. But both of us kind of like, I think, you know, it's still like an actress at a press tour doing a job, and she has to like look a certain way and be a certain way to kind of like fulfill.
Right. It's also that thing you
category.
spoke about being like accessible too. Like
Yeah.
like those photos
It's a
go
wide,
everywhere.
yeah, it's a wide audience, and everybody is gonna see that. And so you're kind of like, how do I push this, but make it so that the most amount of people will still get it, because otherwise then your message is diluted and it's not clear. Like
Yeah.
I desire and prefer that wide audience gets it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would love
and get something from
it. Yeah.
too. I
Yeah.
think it was so powerful to
Maybe
see.
even learn something or see something they haven't seen before, or gets excited by it, or any, you know, all of that is cool. I mean, even if they hate it, I love that too.
Well, but
I
part
think
of
it's
it
cool.
too is like you could tell she loved being in those
Yeah.
clothes too. So
It was a lot of fun.
that, you know, that translates to the photos as well. But why were you scared at first?
I just think, like, you know, I make sort of, I perceive what I do as you know, making an image, and a lot of the times in editorial, the thing does not look like that from the back or the side. There's like clips and pins, and it's stuffed with something else inside. And
you have the
and it's-
grace of like
you know what
the
I mean?
camera just being right in front.
And it's a very controlled. That's actually how like I fell in love with photography, because I think, you know, I realized when I was like growing up taking pictures with my friends, is that like the whole room could look like a mess, but in this little square, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And it's like the fairy tale that you always dreamed could be in that little frame, even if the world's a mess outside. And so that's kind of why I was scared. I was like, I don't know if I can make something
There's
that
nowhere
lives
to hide.
360. You
Right.
It has to
And
be
you
perfect.
can't control. Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's kind of like a big thing I learned, is like you have to pick something and make something and choose a look that absolutely sort of stands still on its own, and it's perfect from every angle and there's, because it's such an out of control scenario. It's so chaotic and insane, and like there's a million people and everyone's yelling, and it's very quick. It ends like in 5 minutes, and the 5 minutes feel like 5 seconds. And so it has to kind of like be able to live without you touching it, you know, just like you
It's
just
a lot
go
of
and you're like
pressure.
a cutout. Yeah. But I mean, it was really fun though too. I don't
What's
know.
been your favorite look that you've done with Hunter?
Oh my God. Oh, it's so hard.
I know,
I
there's
love-
good ones.
We did this like Margiela look for, it was like a photo call. It was actually like such a funny thing to wear for a photo call, because it was like so low key, and it was just like her sitting for interviews and stuff. But it was like a paper hat from Margiela and like a latex pencil skirt.
Yeah, I know
And
that
this kind of,
one.
and then this big insane green bow, like giant bow coat. And then the custom Prada one we did, that was like the gold was my favorite, because I love that collection.
That collection, yeah. Only, I mean, it's got to be a Dara Hunter collab to be able to get Mrs. Prada and the Prada team to be able to remake
The
that
Prada
collection,
vibe is
because it
fab.
was stunning. Okay, let's talk about Addison, who is your
Yeah.
like, newest
Yeah.
client, and just so fun and gorgeous. And what you guys have been doing is, I just think it's the essence of that Britney
Yeah.
era that we're missing that energy. And You're
I'm
giving it.
missing it
You're
too.
giving it to the
I'm missing
children.
it
If
too.
I
No, but
could-
you're bringing it.
yeah, the VMA look with the
Oh yeah,
the
the
Miss
Claire
Claire
Sullivan,
Sullivan.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of padded bra. It freaked a lot of people out.
yes, they
But
did.
that's a good thing,
No,
right?
yes, absolutely. It's the VMAs.
Yeah.
And they
That's what
didn't
you wanna
get
do.
that bra at all. And it must have been a full circle moment for you. If you're a Britney fan, you must have like
Yeah,
loved
being
the
there
scene.
was crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, we're at the VMAs.
Yeah.
I used to like record them on VHS. I was like, oh my god, aging myself boots. But like I used to record them on VHS and then rewatch them over and over and over and over and over again. And I remember even like the night of the Britney Madonna kiss with Christina, like I was like not gonna watch it because I was like, yeah, Britney's not gonna be there this year. It was already in the news she was not gonna show up. And then my dad like called me. He's like, you have to come here. Britney's on like it gets
God,
her
I
boy.
love your
And then the
dad for
veil
this.
and the veil came up and I was like, so yeah, I don't know. I think and then like like Gaga in '09 with the blood, like I just and the meat dress. I just love I love pop culture moments like that. I think it's so fun and interesting, and I think you can like kind of say a lot in that moment. That's kind of I
and
don't
it
know,
feels like you're
cool.
trying to do every outing with her is a moment to be able to
You'd hope so, right?
Do
Say
that.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the fun of a pop star is like, or a singer and a musician is like, it's all encompassing and it's because it is them. It's not a character in a movie. It's not, it's embodied all the time. And so there's something really fun about kind of performing with clothes in that way.
It feels a little bit like you're giving an education as well because you're thinking about the VMAs and the canon of the VMAs and how
Yeah.
people show up to the VMAs
Well,
or
it became
what.
a gown show. It's like,
Yeah.
why is
Right,
it-
and that's so
and
boring.
it's not. I love a gown. I really do. I really wish to be in a gown every day of my life. But like, I just feel like when I think of the VMAs, I don't think of formality. I think of people who are
provocative.
and kind of like
Yeah.
doing something that might rub people the wrong way.
Yes. I mean, if there ever was an award show where you should like put a middle finger up and be like, this is what I'm doing, it's the VMAs.
right?
It's not the
I'm gonna
Oscars.
make it a little nasty.
You're gonna
Yeah.
be nasty.
Yeah.
What is your repeat buy? I mean, this is actually something that I know you've got because you really lean into a signature. You have the red lip. Right now you have the yellow hair, but you've had, black hair and you've stuck with that. There's always a pantyhose and a sheen of
Oh,
the
that's my
pantyhose.
repeat. Yeah,
A
that's the
sh-
repeat.
Yeah,
buy
what are the
is the
stockings?
tights.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Like the Wolfords are the best ones, but they just rip, and you can't. Like it's not sustainable to like buy $100 pair of tights for every day. So like the Calzedonia really do the job, and I like a sheer, like a 15 or a 20 den, and like all that. What else?
Yeah,
is
what
a
else do you
repeat
buy in multiples?
The pumps, the Manolos. I buy so many. It's not. It's really unhealthy.
Really? How many a year?
Oh girl, I don't.
Oh, okay. It's like
I
that.
don't know, but I've been told to stop by my
Okay.
like friend.
We're
Yeah.
in your closet, like,
It's
can
not-
you
They're just on the.
estimate?
They're like all over the floor. I like
strewn.
live in my shoes. It's just like all over the place. Buy like the button earring on repeat. It's always
Where do you
Where-
find your
these
button?
ones. This I found last time I went to Paris, I went to Paris in the summer. And I went to the flea market, and there's that store Chez Sarah, that
Yes.
store. That like it's like a long railroad style store that has like amazing, just like La Croix, like Saint Laurent, Angara, whatever, every amazing designer you could ever. And then they had like in the front of the store all these dead stock like enamel earrings, $10 each. I bought every single color, like
Every single color that they
multiples of
had.
every single color, because I was like, that's my earring.
That's it.
That's my earring. But I go to the flea market here on like 77th Street.
Yeah.
The Grand Bazaar.
I love that
I
flea
love the
market.
Grand Bazaar.
And then you can go to Barney Greengrass and get bagels and lox after. It's like
A perfect New York
it's a
day.
perfect.
But that's where I
day.
get all my jewelry too. I like I like clothes that don't look like they're from anywhere. I don't know, sort of like, where did that come from? It doesn't look like a certain designer or
No, well,
something.
shopping
like I love that.
Shopping vintage is you gotta. I'm not saying you have to do it with every outfit and every piece, but it really is the way to kind of craft individuality. If you just like kind of shop what's in store, you'll never,
But even
everyone
like
has
really
access.
basic, like I love like Uniqlo a lot, and so
Yeah.
like sort of those like vintage clothes and then Uniqlo clothes, like all clothes that don't look like they're from anywhere. They're just kind of like clothes.
I have two more questions. Well, firstly, we need to talk about what your dream buy is.
Oh my
What is the
God.
thing that you covet and that you want and you?
Is there a holy grail? A vintage thing or
The thing is like all the things that I wish I could buy. It's like they don't really like exist. Like, you know, like
It's
shoes in
okay.
my size and like like I love 70s heels and like Charles Jourdan and like Garolini shoes and like Halston shoes and stuff. And like I love those, but they don't exist in my
Yeah.
size. So my grail is like something that doesn't exist, but it's fine. I'm trying to think of like a specific thing that I love. You know what I really, really want is like a 2009 Christophe de Carnan like Balmain shoulder padded
Yes.
blazer.
That's great.
I fucking love those.
They were
They were
tight.
my-
Like the cut was.
That like I just
And
we're
then with
dying for
the
them.
ripped jeans, it's
With the acid wash I just
Yeah.
die
Where
for
is
them.
Christophe de Carnan?
I
That was an
know, it was
amazing.
so
that was
amazing.
that was a fun
It's
moment.
so sexy.
the last sort of segment is about your latest goodbye.
Ooh.
What have you bought recently?
I actually just got some Junya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
bought like the striped T-shirt with the big kind of circle patent
Circles
sleeves.
on
and
it.
then there was a black one. I bought both of them because I was like,
Yes.
I don't know which one I'll like, and I'll probably keep both.
But only you could pull that off. That would look. I would look like an absolute clown in that.
No.
But yes, it's for you.
Yeah, I like that. It's like I could wear it like with jeans, like a T-shirt.
Yeah,
it's like
that's your
it's kind of
T-shirt.
casual, but it's like silly.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, this is the most uncasual T-shirt ever, and you wouldn't. But that star
But it
is.
has a French striped shirt vibe.
Yes.
But it has like giant
yeah, it has-
circular shoulders.
Yes, Dara. I know I say this every episode, but I really could speak to you forever.
I want to talk more. I love this.
I know.
You're-
It's so fun.
Yeah, and your like love of fashion and your optimism around it, and how I really feels like you feel like it could change the world, like
Oh,
the way you
absolutely.
dress and
yeah. Well,
style
not the way I dress,
Also,
but the way
it's-
one dresses.
Yeah,
sure.
and it's so optimistic. I really do mean it as like it's a gift, like not just to like the people you dress, but also the way you dress. It's just putting something out in the world that's joyful.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and it's not necessarily always joyful, but I feel I feel so joyful when I talk about fashion, when I think about fashion. To me, it's just like any emotion that I have can come out through this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like, I think whatever that is for you, you need to find. And if that, that's your channel to communicate whatever emotions you're going through, I think that's like a valuable thing to learn about yourself. And for me, it is clothes and it's images. So, yeah.
Dara, thank you for being a guest on The Goodbye. You're like
you.
a dream. This was Harper's Bazaar's The Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.